This Giro, there are a few sprinters left in the bunch who couldn't make it work on stage 13. Robbie and Dan are here to cast their expert eyes to maybe help those riders and those teams see what went wrong, what they could do differently today. Robbie?
Well, might be a little bit late for them to watch what we're doing as they're lining up at the start, but we're going to go through, and of course stage 13 was the last bunch sprint in this race, so we are going to look at where it went wrong for some riders. So already a winner in this race, Tim Merlier. So this is coming into the final 450 metres. Tim Merlier, you can see where he is. That's more than 20 riders back in the bunch. Right in front of him is Caleb Ewan, and then in front of him, Alberto Dainese, who does have a teammate. As we roll forward, we're going to identify a couple of other riders who maybe end up getting, call it good results, could have gone a little bit better. For a couple of them, nothing they could do with Jonathan Milan. He was just too strong, too fast, and his team too well organised because they're just lined up on the front right there. But we're going to track some of the riders as we go through. So if I just hit play and let it roll. So you watch Merlier, I've just identified. He's so far back and he's hunting for a gap, but the lead out is already going full on, Dan. And a couple of the riders that you wanted to point out to us and where they've come from, they're starting to try and find their own way through. Merlier's hoping a gap is going to open up. He just ends up running himself into a dead end.
Yeah, Robbie's cast his expert eye over this. He's just told me what to say, basically. So hopefully I'll get this right.
Hopefully you'll remember what Robbie told you to say.
The next rider we're going to focus in on, who didn't win the stage, is Phil Bauhaus of Bahrain Victoria. As you can see, he's got the perfect wheel, but he's on the inside of this corner, and he's got a couple of riders. Luca Mezget's to his left-hand side. Fernando Gaviria is here and about to launch his sprint with 3 kilometres to go. That's only 400 metres to go. But if you roll it on, what you'll see, if you focus in on Phil Bauhaus, in the white in 4th position, he gets pushed over to the barriers here, and just as Gaviria goes, I'll just pause it here and highlight it for you again. Oh, I've got to press draw. Didn't even do that bit. If you've got here, Phil Bauhaus, just on the wheel of Tim Merlier. Robbie said that he really, as soon as he saw the movement from Gaviria, should have barred his way out to ensure that he had room to get out. Unfortunately, he either didn't have the power, the snap to do that, or he just left it a little bit too late, because if you keep focusing in on him, he finds he comes into traffic just as he's trying to follow Milan there, in between Consonni on the right and Rui Oliveira on the left. So he has to brake slightly. And actually, if you see him all the way to the finish line, he still runs 3rd in this sprint, I think it is. So a very good ride from him in the end.
I've got to say, just as you're focusing in on all of that, it does remind us as well how difficult it is to adhere to this rule of not deviating from your sprint line, and when that becomes something that is punishable or not, because you can see there the riders are left and right and they are trying to find the best position at all times. Yeah,
you've got to ride for gaps. You've got to, it's a bit of follow the leader as well. You go with the rider in front of you who's going to maintain that sit in the slipstream. So there's a tolerance level of where you go, and it often depends on if you impede somebody else or not with slight movements, and it's all becomes a little bit subjective, and what happens and what the chain reaction is of your moves across the road. But just going back to Merlier, as it came in, I mean, you saw Bauhaus go there, get boxed in, Aniel Koski over to Bauhaus's left. He just followed the wheels up and just rode, got the sort of miracle run pretty much. But if you look at the bottom of picture, we have Merlier really bottom of picture now, and he's looking for the gap. He's about to ride into the picture, and he's about to ride himself, bang, straight into a roadblock. So he's often a guy who can pick a gap, accelerate, go through it, and you say, well, where did he come from? He's come from so far back and he still won. That day it just didn't work out for him. He rode himself into a dead-end street, and that was all over, and he didn't make it into the top 10. So there's little moments, fractions of a second, micro instance to make a decision, and sometimes you get it right and it's brilliant, everyone applauds. Sometimes you get it wrong and you just drip back to the team bus.
Do you know, I love as well that we've got the benefit of the helicopter giving us these shots. We are watching in slow-mo, rewinding to re-watch in slow-mo. For the riders themselves in the middle of all of this chaos at 60, 70 kilometres an hour, trying to make those split-second decisions, I wouldn't fancy being in their shoes, that's for sure. Well,